Okay, great. All right. So we need, can you put the agenda up on the screen, Marie?
Yes.
Okay, so we are going to do the usual report, approve the minutes. We're going to have a staff update on restoration. We'll go through the various reports. So most of them are just file only. We'll hit any highlights and any items that need to be talked about. New business, we have a draft communications policy to discuss and approve. And then just some reminders about upcoming events. So do I have a motion to approve this agenda?
I make that motion. That's Sue.
Thanks, Sue. Do I have a second?
Second by Melissa.
Thank you. All right, any discussion about the agenda? Any changes? Okay, hearing none. All in favor of the moving forward with the agenda? Aye.
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 Okay, any opposed? Okay, hearing none, the agenda is approved. All right, moving on to the board minutes from our last meeting on March 9th. Do I have a motion to approve those minutes? Everybody's on mute. Anybody want to come off mute and move?
I so move, Laura.
Thank you, Mike. Do we have a second?
I'll second. That's Sue.
Thanks, Sue. Okay, any changes to the minutes? Any adjustments? Okay, hearing none, all in favor of approving the minutes, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, any opposed? Okay, hearing none, motion carried. Board minutes are approved. All right, we'll move on to the staff update on the restoration.
So
All right.
I'm going to stop sharing and let you all have the ears and eyes of the wonderful Matthew Bertrand.
All right. I was going to ask Cindy if you wanted to kick it off or if I should just get going. It sounds like I'll just get going. Let me hold on one sec. I've got a presentation I'll be doing. Let's do that screen. All right. Is it coming through? All right, fantastic. All right, well, Cindy asked me to come on out and join you all for a brief 10-minute or so orientation to some of the rain garden programming that's happening here at Friends of the Rouge. And so I'm doing it through the structure here of a common presentation that I give, Rain Gardens 101, Get Your Lawn a Job, as a part of our Rain Smart program, 1,000 rain gardens for the Rouge. And I won't tell you what I tell everybody else, but is a basic structure that's reflective of one of our programs. We've been giving lectures like this for a few years now and have had probably hundreds, if not thousands of people participate through the locus of a conversation kind of like this. But today, what I'm going to share with you is just to start by centering ourselves. What's a rain garden exactly? I'm not sure all board members here have direct familiarity with a rain garden yet. So we'll start at the basics. I'll show some sample Friends of the Rouge rain gardens. I'm going to touch on our watershed management plan and some of the goals that are driving some of our rain garden work. I'm going to touch on a few Friends of the Rouge programmings, and then also some items that are coming up that I'm pretty excited about that touch on this. And I'd love for any questions that anyone might have as well. So moving on, and I like getting interrupted as well. So please feel free if you'd like. So I oftentimes get people that come up to me and they say, oh, I've got a rain garden. I've got a garden and the rain falls on it. Well, a rain garden is a little bit different than that. Subtle differences. But a rain garden is going to get water certainly that's falling directly on it. It's also getting water that's running off of a hard surface. So for example, in this picture, and this is what is most common for most residents, roof rainwater, it's the easiest to redirect. That's the kind of water that contributes to flooding. It's the kind of water that we're really trying to encourage that residents manage on their own homes. They're keeping it out of our public drainage systems, keeping it out of the river. And that's going to be helping with pollution issues, flooding issues, erosion issues, lots of problems. The rain gardens are typically about 3 to 6 inches deep, a shallow saucer. So the water is going to fill up after a storm. And then over 48 hours, it's going to drain away, basically. If it's longer than 48 hours, it's too long. So it's a temporary water feature, and we plant it typically with native plants. And so those native plants are providing habitat value as well, in addition to the water management. So one of the nice things about rain gardens is it's multifunctional. It's turning what is really a single use place, a lawn, which is pretty, and you can play on it maybe. It's turning it into a multifunctional landscape that's helping with flooding issues. It's creating habitat for pollinators, and they are also attractive in their own right. So that's my orientation for a rain garden. Does anybody have any just questions on what a rain garden is before I move forward and show you pictures of some rain gardens? Okay. All right, so here's a sample rain garden. This is one we built a couple years back in Plymouth at the Plymouth Municipal Yard. This is the before shot. As you can see, it's a very attractive entryway. They thought they could make it a little bit better than that. And also they had a water issue to solve. The roof of this building drains out through a pipe on the right, and it would cause icing issues in the wintertime, tons and tons of water getting dumped right there. They also wanted to do something with the creek. And so this is the after right there. We cut out about 1,200 square feet of asphalt. There's a new walkway and concrete there. It's about 9 inches deep, and it soaks up that water in about 4 hours, something like that. It's beach sand soil underneath there. It's a great rain garden. And then here is, oops, going too far ahead. Here's what it looked like a couple years after that. So beautiful front entryway now for the space. So pretty and solving problems at the same time. Here's another sample. This is in Plymouth Township. It was under the same grant as did the prior garden, one of our first Eagle non-point source grants. So it's Ann House's residence, and she had an issue. She had pretty clayey soils. She could not mow the lawn in between her house and the neighbor's house, and so she wanted to turn the garden bed that was already in the front of the house into a rain garden. She took my Master Rain Gardener class, designed it herself, and then through the grant funding, I helped her basically make it twice as big because that's what Eagle wanted. And then this is what the garden looked like after we got done with it. Built with Ford volunteers. You can see a pop-up emitter on the bottom. That's where the water is coming in from her roof. And beautiful garden, soaks up the water, drains away no problem despite the heavy clay soils. So very functional space, attractive. She's got a beautiful sign out front, and her neighbors are regularly asking her about it. And then one last picture here. This is from our other major rain garden program, Rain Gardens to the Rescue, which Cindy manages. And I'll let Cindy pipe in if she's got any corrections for me with how I present the program, or omissions of anything that would be essential details. The map on the bottom right shows, and it looks like it's up through 2020, so there's at least another year of points, but gardens that have been built through the Rain Gardens to the Rescue program, I think it's over 200 at this point, and there's some volunteers building one of the residential rain gardens right there. So another major example of a rain garden, so Park, which for those of you that have been around for a couple of years know about. It's where our office is located. The map on the left is showing all the dark green color is all rain gardens. So the vast majority of the landscape is now rain gardens at this space. The gardens manage over 225,000 gallons of water every time it rains. So it's solving a lot of local flooding issues and creating habitat as well. I've got a little just slideshow for you here, just stepping through. This is the before for the site. Massive potholes, ugly. It flooded every time it rained. It flooded people on Adams Street every time it rained. And then you can see the construction in progress after bulldozing the site, smoothing it out. You can start to see some of the basins forming in there after the concrete got poured. and then farther along with the sidewalks. I'm looking forward to this year as the plants are starting to mature to get the next in the series showing the plants coming in, but I'll leave you just with this one picture by the entryway here of one of the gardens after we planted it. So we've turned this ugly parking lot that was creating enormous problems into one that's much more attractive and that's soaking up an incredible amount of water, over 3 million gallons of water a year. So great example, and one that I'm going to be working on signage and a self-guided walking tour for, so that people will be able to come. Park gets over 200,000 unique visitors a year. So this will be really one of the most significant rain garden demonstration sites in the state of Michigan, if not beyond. So exciting. So that's, I talked about what a rain garden is. We talked about some examples of rain gardens. This is just grounding our work in the Rouge Watershed Management Plan a little bit, which has 2035 goals that have been guiding our work. We're not bound by this, but it's, you know, it's the best resource that we've got available right now. So it calls for 12,000 residential rain gardens, 57,000 rain barrels, 640,000 trees by 2035. It also calls for other things: grow zones, wetland acres, vegetated swales. That's less what we do at Friends of the Rouge. It's a little bit more of the kind of thing that ARC does, but we do a little bit of that too. But really for the work that I've been focusing on through the Rain Smart, which has really been about residential outreach, I focus on those top goals. And part of the reason I oftentimes get people asking me, you know, is one home, is it worth working at one home? It's so little, the parking lots are so big. This map is showing single family homes in the Rouge. It's about 50% of the Rouge is single family homes. So each home is, yes, small by itself, but when you add up all of our homes, it adds up to an appreciable impact. It's a significant area for restoration, and homes are oftentimes way easier to work in than other spaces because we have these big wide open lawns that are a ready opportunity for something better. So the problem though with these goals, which has guided some of my work, is how do we track people's behaviors on their private property? It's really hard to hit these goals if we don't know what people are doing. So at the very end, I'll show you my solution to that, which I'm very excited about. But some of the things that we've been doing as a result of that. So in 2020, we started doing our store, our rain barrel sales, our native plant sales, as a way to start hitting the rain barrel goal on there. So I've got tentative results from the 2022 sale that's happening next week, but we're at about $150,000 revenue, $153,000 expenses over 3 years projected. So we're just about breaking even. We had a big deficit the first year, broke even last year, and this year I think we're on track to bring in about $4,000 in revenue. Moved 781 rain barrels, over 22,000 plugs of native plants, and then the store's got a marketing budget, so we've had over 1.4 million marketing impressions at this point. So it's a major community relations driver at this point. Laura can tell you about memberships that have come about through this, lot of major community impact and connection through that. In addition, we've got flagship rain garden programming trying to educate and engage residents, the Master Rain Gardener training program. We've got Rain Gardens to the Rescue. Rain Gardens to the Rescue is Detroit focused. Master Rain Gardener is regional focused. We've also got Rain Gardens 101 I mentioned at the start, which is a little bit more like brief 1 hour sort of an activation, getting people excited, whereas Master Rain Gardener and Rain Gardens to the Rescue are really about ushering people along to achieve expertise as residents designing rain gardens. And with the Master Rain Gardener class, we did our first ever regional virtual class this year in partnership with Huron River, Clinton River, Washtenaw Water Resources, Oakland Water Resources, River Raisin Watershed, for one big class that was just stellar, and residents had glowing feedback on that. I've got 2 other things to share here, and then I'll open it up for questions. So one of the major initiatives that we've been focusing on, trying to think about how we scale up. So when we're working towards a 13,000 rain garden goal by 2035, we have to be thinking about scale and scaling up. So we've been partnering with Clinton River, Huron River, and Friends of Detroit River on a social enterprise. So sort of triggered by the store, the idea that we as a nonprofit can have business plans, we can charge fees for services. And so with those partners, we raised money to hire a consulting firm to provide us with a business plan for green infrastructure services. So like the store, the products I mentioned before, also things like residential rain garden design build consultations, and perhaps most importantly, maintenance services. One of the biggest barriers to widespread adoption for green stormwater infrastructure, rain gardens, is maintenance, especially on public sites. So that's a service that we hope to be able to provide as well. This is still in progress. We've got a draft business plan that we are providing feedback to our consultants on right now, but we're hoping the original launch goal was going to be this fall. We'll see if that works. It might be next spring at this point, but this will, if we can make this fly, I think will be a way for us to significantly scale up the rate at which rain gardens are getting built here in Southeast Michigan. And one other exciting thing about this is the notion of regionally coordinating our marketing and branding. So as a part of this, we would do a regional marketing and branding concept, sort of the idea that, especially as you're looking at this map here, which is showing, I should have mentioned, the Rouge is in the yellow, Clinton River watershed is in blue, green on the top right, Huron River watershed is in orange on the left. The reality is that people think by community geography, not by watershed geography. And so we've got communities like West Bloomfield that have 3 watersheds. And so good luck to them as they hear 3 different messages from 3 different groups. And so it's partially the idea of like getting on the same page with how we're talking about it. It's also economies of scale. By doing this together, we've got a much bigger budget, so we can get something much nicer, hopefully. So by coordinating, we're expecting to have a much better capacity to communicate and engage residents, and that will support the store as well. Last thing, so I mentioned a little bit ago about the issue of tracking private residential behavior. This is something that we're darned well going to launch one of these days. We've got an MOU out to our partners on this thing. It is a mapping tracking system, and I'm going to try to pull up. I had ready the actual thing to show you, and now I've lost it somewhere. There we go. The actual map itself. So this is got dummy data on it right now. You can see goals on the right for rain gardens, rain barrels, trees, native habitat. This is showing the intensity of where people have done these things. There's also a different way to look at the data, see projects in your neighborhood. So people that want to share their projects, they show up as a point, and people can click on the points and see information about projects, so they can see examples of rain gardens in their region. They can explore. You can see pictures showing up on the right. You can pick on a point and see information about it. Again, it's dummy data right now mostly, so a lot of the points are kind of meaningless. But theoretically, this is going to be a way for people to really explore. They can zoom into their neighborhood. It's also going to be a great data resource for us. We can focus in on the left, we've got filters of different kinds. We can focus in on the Rouge River watershed, highlights it there, and then on the bottom over here, we start to see summaries for the Rouge itself. So we can see how many rain gardens are getting built, how many rain barrels are going in. So it's got a lot of powerful data management. From a resident standpoint, they can see installers. So a lot of great stuff with it. The first tab over here, submit a project. This shows what people's experiences are as they go to submit a rain garden, healthy lawn care, native habitat garden, and so on and so forth. We've designed this to be a very user-friendly experience. It's similar to the Detroit Stormwater Hub, if you're familiar with that, but it's really much more designed for ease of use for residents, with the idea that we're hoping that it's a pleasant experience to submit these points, and that we will then have access to the data that we need to track our progress towards these goals. So I will drop the link to this in the chat, because really this thing has got a lot going on. And I think that you might enjoy the time just to kind of play with it for a little bit. But with that, I'm going to wrap it up. And I'd be glad to take any questions anyone might have. And I see at least one hand up from Annette already. If I can figure out how to end the if I can figure out how to end the share, I would be glad to do so. There we go.
So yeah, Annette, if you want to go ahead and share your question.
Yeah, thanks. Matthew, on the rain barrel numbers that you gave, 150,000, 153,000, does that, those expenses include labor?
Yes, that includes all of our expenses, including indirect costs. So
Okay.
yeah, we're doing pretty well on that at this point.
All right, congrats. That's great. That's great.
Yeah, and I think like the reason Friends of the Rouge continues with this, even though it's a sort of a break even, is because it's so mission focused. It has so many other benefits beyond just, it's not really raising money, it's friend raising, it's a marketing, it's actually getting this work out to the community. And so Matthew and the restoration team has done a phenomenal job with all this work. So kudos to you all for an absolutely magnificent job thank you for your hard work.
Did you get Carol's question? Oh,
I
I'm sorry.
just saw,
Okay.
Carol's asking, is the Rain Gardens to the Rescue only for residents, assuming Detroit residents? Cindy would have to answer that. My understanding, I believe it's focused around Detroit residents. I think someone outside of Detroit could probably attend, but they wouldn't be able to get funded for a garden, is my impression. Cindy, feel free to
So
correct
would
me.
it be for small businesses or
Ooh,
schools in Detroit?
Gotcha. Yes, yes. There have been many small businesses, community organizations that have participated in Rain Gardens to the Rescue, but Cindy will be the right person to talk to about that,
Thank you.
or Jackie. All right.
I'm so sorry. I'm being invaded by a bunch of kids and I missed the question.
It was about whether or not, I think we handled it, about whether or not businesses or schools could sign up for Rain Gardens to the Rescue in addition to residents.
Yes, they can. The primary focus is residents, but we have had houses of worship, schools, and parks, others interested participate as well.
And Cindy, do you want to talk a little bit about the expansion of Rain Gardens to the Rescue and the communities that it will serve with that expansion?
I sure can. So the recent National Fish and Wildlife Award will allow us to expand our Rain Gardens Rescue program into River Rouge and South Dearborn. Really, I guess all of Dearborn, but our hope and goal is to focus on South Dearborn, as well as Detroit 48217. So we're really zooming in on areas that are really hardest hit by industry and suffering from air quality issues as well as flooding. So we're carrying that work that we started with the herb funded Rain Gardens Rescue as well as Land and Water Works to those communities. Yeah, so in the coming years, we will be putting in 6 houses of Rain Gardens at 6 houses of worship and 10 residential properties. The houses of worship will have a larger impact. Obviously, we can put in larger gardens that will receive runoff from larger areas. But we didn't want to leave out the homeowners because they play a critical role in helping us expand the messaging across the community.
Thank you, Cindy.
Thank you, everyone.
Bree, could I add one more thing about the rain barrel sale this year? Just the Rouge Rescue Backyard Fair is, I think, a pretty exciting thing that board members might want to know about. So with this year's sale, we've got 200 people that made purchases. So it's going to be a very large pickup event. We have the notion that with that many people coming into place, and we'll also have a same-day native plant sale happening with it. We're expecting probably 250, 400 people to be coming out for this thing, that it would make sense to make it a little something more than it's been in the past. So we're calling it the Rouge Rescue Backyard Fair. We've invited some folks to come out and table. We're going to have some talks, children's activities, maybe a food cart, but probably not this time. It'll probably next year, we'll probably do a food cart and maybe some live music as well. So it's a significant evolution in the Rain Barrel native plant sale piece into something that might be a nice anchor event moving forward. And we are inviting volunteers to sign up for it. So there's a place for you to get involved if you'd like to be a part of that activity as well.
Thank you, Matthew.
Sorry, ma'am, what was the date of that again?
Oh, I didn't mention it. That is May 22nd. So
Thank
coming
you.
up soon on Sunday, 1 to 5 p.m. is the main event. If you'd like
Thanks.
to just come on down, you're welcome to.
Thank you so much, Team Restoration, for that awesome presentation. Really appreciate it a lot. And, you know, for those who are new, this is something we're trying to do, is to invite staff members to come in and give a little insight into all the wonderful work that's being done within the organization. This is really a governance board, and so you don't get to do as much of the hands-on dirty digging that we all do on a daily basis. And of course, you're all invited to come out to many of our events. But I think as board members, it's really important to have an understanding of the programs and projects that you are supporting. So thank you, Matthew, and thanks Cindy and Team Restoration for being here tonight.
Yeah, thank you. And Laura mentioned in the chat that we got 18 new members through the Rain Barrel Sales events. So that's great. All right, moving on, we'll go quickly through the committee reports. From the executive committee, as usual, we spend our time working on supporting Marie and in developing the agenda here. So you will see some things on the agenda that we did discuss. So we'll have some updates about park, and we have some open positions on the board that we will get to. And we've got two guests with us today, Carol Snodgrass and Madeline Maher, who are both when we get to the board development committee, we will have a motion to appoint them to the board. So moving on, Marie, if you would tell us about the park updates and the staff training.
Yeah, thank you, Laura. Park updates. So the Friends of the Rouge's office and the entire building at Park will have a building-wide power outage starting May 23rd and could run as long as 2 weeks. So we will be sending out a notice via our social media channels, our e-newsletter, and on our website a week in advance of that. And then we will also send out information the day of. So business will remain as usual with Friends of the Rouge. We will not have an interruption in service except for the Friday, May 20th, when we won't have access to our shared VPN drive. So really the only interruption will be for staff internally, or if you want to pick something up at the office, we just won't be there because there will be no electricity. So plan in advance if you have anything you need to either drop off or pick up at Park. Anytime before May 20th, or you would have to wait most likely until June 6th. So please be aware of that. In addition to that, Park let us know that they now have funding to replace all of the windows in the entire building. So we will finally be getting our new windows almost 5 years after we signed our lease. And so that should be happening sometime in the fall between September and December. So just a quick update on that. And then what was the second thing, Laura? Sorry, I don't have the agenda in front of me now. And you are muted. I'm sorry. Oh, the trainings, yeah. So we have a couple of trainings that are coming up that will be available to board members. That is noted in your board packet. So the first training will be on August 31st. And I apologize, let me see where that in my report here. So the first training is August 31st, 11 to 1. It's a virtual training being hosted by Detroit Disability Power on anti-ableism. You are all welcome and invited to attend that. The second training will be on empathy and pronoun training hosted by LGBT Detroit on September 22nd from 2 to 3:30 p.m. All existing board members should have received an invitation via a Google invitation. If you didn't get that, please let me know and I would be happy to send that to you. So those are those two specific updates that that you asked, Laura.
Yeah. Thank you, Marie. Okay, do we have anything to highlight from any of the staff committees, education, restoration, monitoring, water trail, or membership?
I have a couple of really high level updates. One, I just want to let you know that we did hire a restoration mentor and landscape architect, Brian Devlin. So we just want to welcome him to the team. We also hired and I don't have their names here. We have a new fellow, Olivia, and then we have a new monitoring intern named, I cannot remember her name, but she's with U of M Dearborn. So we do have two additional fellow interns, and then we have one additional staff member. In addition, I'm sorry. Just a couple of updates for all of you. I will be in Washington, D.C. presenting at the River Networks River Rally Conference in early June. So I'm really excited about that, representing Friends of the Rouge. I will be joined by Herman Jenkins will be joining me, and then Morgan McDonald, who's our leadership and DEI consultant, will be there as well. I think we're going to talk about the board retreat later. For those of you who don't know, I was nominated to be a new board member for the Michigan Environmental Council. I have not been confirmed. That will happen tomorrow. And then I was selected as Crane's Detroit Business Notable Leader in Sustainability amongst a large slate of other candidates. So that's kind of cool. And then the other really big news that I got today, well, yesterday, I'm sorry, and all this information is 100% not to be given out to the public or to the press, but the Ralph C. Wilson Jr. Foundation called me yesterday and let me know that we received a $2.7 million grant to support trails and greenways and the Rouge Gateway Greenway project. So it's really exciting, and I thought I'd share it with you all.
That's wonderful.
Wow.
When will that be announced?
Probably within 1 to 2 weeks.
Great.
So I'll let you all know when we can sound the horn, but it's a really big accomplishment. It's the largest grant I think we've ever received as an organization in the history of the organization. And I think that we have built a very strong partnership with the foundation and many of the other folks who are key to making it happen. And so I see this being a continuing pattern as long as we are able to demonstrate success in this with this next round of funding. There are other folks here from Friends of the Rouge, and I'm going to stop sharing because it's very hard for me to see who's on. But if any other staff members have anything specific they'd like to share about their program, I'd love to give you the floor.
Sure, Marie, I wouldn't mind just sharing a little bit about the restoration project. So we have just completed the installation of 9,000 seedlings along the lower Rouge corridor from Canton to Inkster. This was a big undertaking. This was a new project for us, and it went off really well. Sorry, I've got a bunch of kids around me. We got a lot of great media coverage out of the project. And I just think that hey guys, I'm working. That it was just a tremendous project, and we're so excited. So we'll be finishing up. The plan is to install 13,400. The remaining trees will be installed next spring. So just really kudos to Renato for all his work coordinating that project.
And to just to kind of add on to that, Cindy, it's been a really good partnership with the Alliance of Rouge Communities. So thanks to Annette, who's here tonight. She's their executive director. For those of you who haven't met her, this is Annette. And also Wayne County Parks. So we work really closely with Wayne County Parks as a partner. And as always, it's projects always do have challenges, but we always seem to work through them pretty well. So we were very excited about the opportunity to plant 13,400 trees, and we feel like it's been going pretty well. So yeah, thank you.
Do we want to mention anything about what we did today? what we
Yes,
picked
I
up? Yeah.
would love for you to share what happened today.
Oh, well, probably Cindy might want to talk about it, but yeah, go ahead, Cindy.
Well, Karen was instrumental in helping. So we were able to purchase the new truck. So we have a 2022 Chevy Colorado, fresh and new off the line in our parking lot. So we're super excited to have that. This was funded by the Margaret Dunning Foundation. We were able to successfully write a grant for the funding to support the purchase of this truck, and we're forever grateful. It's coming at a great time because our existing truck has had a little issue that many of you probably know about that I won't go into. So the timing was really really awesome to have this truck. This is our busiest season, and we're all over the community working, and multiple vehicles are needed. So yay! Thank you to the Margaret Dunning Foundation, and thanks to Karen for all her help in getting the truck.
Thank you, Cindy. And for those of you who don't know, a couple of weeks ago, some kids were speeding through our parking lot at Park and smashed into our trailer and our brand new truck. So we weren't able to get it on camera. We did get a photo of the truck, but it is all being paid for through our insurance. It's just a really big inconvenience to have a trailer and a vehicle out of commission.
So then our fleet now contains 4 vehicles and 2 trailers.
Thank you, Karen.
Phenomenal. Okay, next, Laura, if you want to talk about anything on the membership committee, and then Laura is covering for Alice on the fund development committee. You could do them
Yeah.
both at the same time instead of splitting them up.
Yeah, that's my pleasure. Can you all hear me?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay, awesome. I'm really sitting in for Alice tonight. Pretend I'm Alice. And I am going to go through her agenda items one by one. So to start off with, Earth Day, the Earth Day fundraiser, we raised $2,700. We brought in 14 new members. And while it is so much more fun to celebrate successes, I think this one was a bit of a belly flop. And I want to contrast that with our Earth Day fundraiser last year, where we raised over $8,000 and brought in about 40 members. And I'll tell you, I believe the difference is last spring we had this really special offering, Ann Ivory's handcrafted Rouge River celebration magnets, which if you were on the board the end of last year, starting this year, you probably got a packet. So that pulled in a lot of folks. And I think it's just opportunity for me to retinker and think if I want to change the direction and have just a membership acquisition campaign around Earth Day, or we want to just jettison it because the opportunity cost of spending time on that as opposed to other projects in the spring, and there are so many, may be too great. So that was the Earth Day fundraiser. I wish it had been more of an exciting success. And let's talk about a fundraiser that I know will be the Heart of the Rouge fundraiser this summer. I'm looking at some of our host committees, committee members now. Laura Annette was on here, she still may be, and also Brandy, so thank you. But really the host committee, these are folks who are snookered in. No, these are amazing volunteers who are going to spread the word for this awesome event. This is something we hope all of you can join. It's going to be great. I'm going to share my screen. And Marie, can you just, I'm not exactly sure how much the board knows about this. So will you just like check me, because I don't want to talk too much about something you already know about, but it's going to be an amazing evening. So please, first of all, mark your calendars, except for Irma, who has a more exciting travel. I know you're going to be traveling the oceans. If you're not Irma, please mark your calendars for August 11th from 6 to 9 p.m. at the newly lovingly restored Phoenix Mill in Plymouth. It is going to be a wonderful evening of good food, local beer, signature cocktail, music by the Michigan Philharmonic Jazz Trio, and an appearance by the original, some of the last remaining original Rosie the Riveters. And that will actually be for those who buy tickets to the pre-event, a little more pricey ticket for a bigger impact for a better Rouge River. This is our premier fundraising event of the year. We can't wait to have it. And we are also going to start soliciting sponsorships for this. So let's see, last year sponsorships brought in $26,000. Which is nothing to sneeze at, because that is general operating funds. And Karen runs a tight ship. So the tickets pay for direct costs, and the sponsorships are really fueling awesome program work. So think about, there's always a few folks from the board who step up and solicit sponsorships. We are so incredibly grateful. So I'm standing in for Alice. She will email everyone probably in the next week or so, just to gauge whether you may be working at a company. You could solicit for a sponsorship for this event, or if you have a friend at a company. And let's see, I'm gonna try to make this clear. This is a draft. I see Mike is taking a good look, but I just wanna, let you know these sponsorships start at $250. So it's a great way for a company, big and small, to get in and trumpet their love of the Rouge River. The highest level is 4,000 this year. And we are also going to create a sheet like this, but target small community businesses in Plymouth. So really, maybe even in door to door or through the Chamber of Commerce, go door to door and engage companies we wouldn't normally, but this is a really Plymouth focused event this year. It's in Plymouth, the brewery's from Plymouth. The Harmonic is based in Plymouth. It will change in 2 years. We'll be on another site, but for this year, we're going to get out in the community and see if we can pull in some of the community businesses that we wouldn't normally approach at that $250 and $500 level. So please, if you work at a company that you know sponsors events, or you have a friend, or you know a small business, share that. You can share that with me. You can share that with Alice when she comes knocking on your email door. I think I hit everything, just that we really can't wait. It's going to be a great evening and a really different kind of event, a first off for Friends of the Rouge for this type of event.
Laura,
Yeah.
the reason, can you want to tell them the reason why the Rosies are going to be there? Because some people may not know.
Yeah, I am happy to actually, let me see, I'm sorry. It took me that long to find the stop share button. Okay, yes, the Rosies will be there with red on, I guess, as part of the special sort of pre-party that we're offering folks who decide to buy a ticket for $250. So we've priced the tickets for members. A regular general ticket will be $86. If you are not a member of Friends of the Rouge, it'll be $100. And if you want to make a larger impact, it will be $250. And with that, you will check in and get a tour of the historic mill by Greg D'Onofrio, or possibly Richard Cox, who bought and then restored the mill itself. So they'll give you a really thoughtful, in-depth tour, and it will land you in a fun party room with the original Rosies, who are, they're in their 90s. I mean, it's actually amazing that there are any left, and there are not a lot left.
But this is where they started. This mill is where the Rosies started. I mean, the history of why we're having the Rosies, how are they connected to this building? And
that was
That's
just
okay.
a really long walk to what you wanted to hear. So the Rosies are connected with this building because the Phoenix Mill was a cottage industry started by Henry Ford. And it was always an all-women's, or I should say it turned over to an all-women's factory quite early in its history. It actually has an I-beam. It was one of the few factories that had a blackout curtain during World War II, because it was considered oh, I'm going to forget the words, but important enough to hide. And the women who were working at the Phoenix Mill, many of them went on to the Willow Run factory. And that is where the Rosies originated. So these women were, I want to say, the predecessors of the Rosies. There are some really cool historic photographs. We'll have during the evening, we'll have a lot of interactive experiences, ways for folks to sort of interact with what Friends of the Rouge does and the programming. We'll also have a history table with the executive director of the American Rosie the Riveters Association, and any Rosies who want to stick around for the party, or their rosebuds. And the rosebuds are the, really, for the most part, their daughters who help their moms get to these events. So it'll be open to the rosebuds, and we'll also have Brian Devlin, who is a docent at the Henry Ford. He will be hanging out by the Model T because he knows everything about Model T. So we'll have a sort of history space at this party, at this big fundraiser. The fundraiser is meant to be almost open house style. You can come, you can drink all night, or you could come, drink, say hi to me, and then leave. But please stay. There's so much to do, and it's going to be wonderful. Any questions?
Should we mention that this is not replacing the Rouge Cruise, that the Rouge Cruise will now be a biannual, and then we'll have a land-based one year, and then the Rouge Cruise the next year, then a land-based in another community, and then the Rouge Cruise. So it'll go back and forth. The cruise is not canceled.
Yeah, thanks.
Just so you know.
And I wanted to mention, Irma just put in the chat, her mother was a Rosie. So that's awesome. I did not know that.
Rosebud. So you're a rosebud.
You're a rosebud.
Rosebud, yeah.
Irma.
And my dad was a Tuskegee Airman, so they're connected in that way. That's supposed to be real unusual, but yeah.
Totally
History.
remarkable and totally not surprising. It's totally not surprising because it's Irma. That's amazing. I have to say one more thing because I'm supposed to be Alice today, and that is she created a marathon subcommittee. So you may, if you like exercise, running, hurting yourself, or your health, and then getting fit outside. Maybe you want to run the marathon, the half marathon, the 5K. I think there's even a mile race.
It's the Detroit Free Press Marathon. Sorry. Just for
Thank
people
you
who don't
for
know.
the Detroit Free Press annual marathon, like weekend event. And Friends of the Rouge has been a nonprofit partner. So you can run and raise money with every step for a better river. And we've done this the last few years. Basically, Alice is looking to get a band together to make it a success. So if you don't like running, but you have a dear friend who does, I think that would count too. Please contact, thank you, EventFacts. So please reach out to Alice. She's getting a band together, and it's just such a cool cause, and it's such a great way to raise money as you are meeting your own goals out there on the asphalt. That's all. Thank you.
We also are required to bring a certain number of volunteers to that event, and being a participating partner. So if you don't run, you can still hand out water to those who do, or whatever.
Okay, thank you very much. Now we'll move on to board development. Mike, we've got some board positions to fill and some appointments to make.
Yeah, I think we've talked about this the last few months. We have 2 open positions right now. Bill Hazel has stepped down, and Sam, our current treasurer, will be leaving us. And Sam has graciously agreed to stay on through June board meeting to help prepare the June financials and help kind of transition the finance committee and new treasurer. So thank you, Sam, very much for all your help and support. So we have identified 2 individuals, Carol Snodgrass and Madeline Mayer, or Maher. You know what? I never really verified the correct pronunciation, but you can, tell us in a minute. because anyways, Madeline, we had nice, lovely conversations with a couple of weeks ago or last week, I forget when it was, and both have expressed interest and possibly filling the treasurer role, being on the finance committee, and being a board member. So, we had a really good feeling, and really great, conversations, and both have, great financial experience. So anyways, I would just let both maybe say a couple words if you so choose. So I guess, Kara, would you like to go first?
Yes, thank you. Hi, everyone. My name is Carol Snodgrass. I'm very thankful for this opportunity to meet with you today. I love the Friends of the Rouge. I love the outdoors. I'm looking outside my beautiful backyard here, and I actually have a little bit of the Rouge in my backyard, the brook, the Noble Brook, which is about this wide. You can actually jump over it, but it's in my backyard, and I'm looking at all the beautiful flowers and trees that are blooming, and I can just kind of expand that to the Rouge area and how this incredible group has done some fabulous things promoting, sustaining this wonderful resource that we have in southeastern Michigan. I'd like to say a couple things about myself. I do have time to spend to volunteer. I volunteer a lot in my life, and I just listening tonight what you as an organization, you're a well-oiled machine, just all those moving parts, and it all seems to coordinate for the mission of the organization. I volunteer as a treasurer on a dog and cat rescue for the last 11 years. I do the fundraising, the tax prep. I'm the main fundraiser and the event host for the dog rescue. So I have that background. I have 12 nonprofit small clients in Detroit that I manage. I do the bookkeeping, I do tax returns and I oversee the finance part of those small nonprofits. And I love the outdoors. I just want to be out there right now hanging out and I've also volunteered a little bit with your organization. I did some toad and frog surveying, and I planted the trees that Cindy was talking about with my friends and family a few weeks ago. And I've also taken the class on the rain garden class. So I participated in that last year. So I follow you. I love your organization, and I'm very, it would be my greatest pleasure to be part of this wonderful organization. Thank you very much.
That's great. And then Madeline, if you want to introduce yourself, please.
Absolutely. Hello, everyone. I'm very, very excited to be here tonight with all of you and looking forward to get to know you all. I am also looking forward to this opportunity to help with the community, with a great cause. And I too love and enjoy being outdoor and do a lot of activities in the community. I appreciate every single great day we have in the summer and spring here. And so this is exciting. I was born and raised in Egypt, and I lived very close to the Nile. And I am very excited because it's bringing me some memories as well. Living by the Nile and just have those evening walks. Sometimes when I remember that, I remember even the smell of the fresh air. So it is exciting for me to help with this organization and help, bring awareness and be involved really in the community with such a great cause. I work with Bank of America. I work with lots of business owners, for profit and for nonprofit as well. And I help them to whether grow their business or achieve some of their goals. I've been in banking for more than 20 years. I enjoy very, very much meeting new people, learning about them, their background, and making new friends every day. So I am really excited to be a part of the organization today.
Awesome. Well, we're excited to have you join us here today. So I think the idea would be, well, first of all, we'll make a motion in a minute. we've met as a board development committee and as the EC, and we recommend appointment of both Carol and Madeline to the board. And I think the idea would be, I mean, they both have wonderful experience and backgrounds. Definitely, would be super valuable on the financial committee, or the finance committee, and or in the treasurer role. So I think what we'll do is maybe over the next month, have them work with Sam. I think Sam was gonna, again, be so kind to kind of stay on for another month, maybe set up a finance committee meeting, which Carol and Madeline will be a part of, and then kind of figure out maybe, what the best fit is. So, but we're excited for both of them to be part of the organization. So with that, I'd like to make a motion to appoint. I can do both at once, right, Marie? I don't need to. Okay, I got to do each one.
I think first, we need to ask Sam to officially step down before we replace him.
There's a couple things. One, Sam does have to officially step down. And then number two, the board has to appoint Madeline and Carol to the respective replacement positions. So there would be one appointment for Bill's position and one appointment for Sam's position because they're both different time frames.
Right.
So that's important. So one position would be open from now until the end of 2022, and the second position would be open from now to the end of 2023. Now, both Carol and Madeline would be eligible for re-election twice. So they would be fulfilling the role, sort of essentially finishing the role of an existing board member, but then they would be eligible to serve 2 3-year terms as elected board members in the future.
Gotcha.
Okay, so I guess we'll start by thanking
Okay.
Sam for his service to the board and for his service as the treasurer of the organization and for managing the finance committee and the financials for the organization. And then Sam has indicated he's stepping back, but we want to have him make that official.
Yes, as much as it's been my pleasure to help the organization due to other obligations at the time, I dedicate the appropriate level of service to Friends of the Rouge, and I would like to relinquish my position back to the board.
Thank you, Sam. Okay, I didn't realize the terms were different. I don't know how we want to decide who we're going to appoint to which position. Is there any, as an incumbent, there's generally no issue with getting reelected, so that shouldn't be a concern. It's just the one is 1.5 years and one is 2.5 years before you would be up for reelection.
Just as a mild edit to that, it's one is basically a 7-month appointment, and one would be a 1 year and 7-month appointment.
Thank you.
And what I could suggest, and you can say no to that, but is that all existing board members vote for appointment of one or the other for the 1 year or 1 7-month year. I'm sorry, 7-month or 1 year, 7-month term. And you could vote, you can vote, and this would just be a suggestion, and please let Laura direct you. But in your chat box on the right, you can direct chat Laura Wagner, and you can insert your vote there. I don't know what you think about that, Laura.
So you're saying then we'd each would just vote for one or the other, and then I'm not sure then clearly how that would translate into a different term.
So you would say, for example, Carol, yes. Maybe you call it the short term, long term. Carol, yes, long term. Madeline, yes, short term, something like that. I don't know, because I don't know how else to do it.
Oh, I didn't mean to say that out loud.
Okay, everybody, send me your votes through.
Should we ask them who?
Yeah.
Should we just ask them what you would prefer? That might start us off.
That's what I was thinking too, maybe.
I can go first. I have no preference whatsoever. I would be honored to serve either term
Same here. So whatever works for you, truly.
Okay,
Should we
well,
just do it randomly then? Do we need to vote? Could we just do it randomly?
Well, you could always send it directly to Laura. If you click on that two box, you can see who the participants are and you can send it directly to Laura if you don't, if you guys wanted this to be anonymous. You could do that.
I've got 6. Did everybody vote yet?
Sorry, this is Jessica. I'm on the phone, but I vote yes for both, and it doesn't matter to me. You could put either one for short and long term for me.
Okay, I'll give anybody who hasn't voted yet another minute.
You should have, say, Melissa, Jessica, Mike, Samra.
Hi, Marie. I disconnected when you guys were talking about that, but which item are we on?
Yeah, hi, Samra. We are voting on, first of all, confirming Carol and Madeline to the board. So, and then the second is your decision of whether you'd like to see Madeline or Carol serve the longer term or the shorter term. So the terms are 7 months or 1 year and 7 months. So if you could either private email Laura Wagner, or on the right under in the chat, you can direct message Laura Wagner with your decision. And she's
Got it.
collecting
Thank
that information. Yeah.
Okay, I think everybody has voted. Okay. Okay, so Carol has been elected or appointed, they've both been appointed to the board. Congratulations. And Carol has been appointed to the longer 1 month and 1 year and 7 months.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Welcome to both of you. We're very happy to have you joining the board.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Welcome, Carol. Welcome, Madeline. And at this point, I believe because they're appointed, they are allowed to vote as well.
Oh, cool.
Yes, you are now members of the board with full voting privileges. So the last committee I think we need to hear from is the Finance Committee. So we're set to vote on the February and March financials.
So looking at the financials, I didn't see anything unusual, and actually from a revenue standpoint, doing slightly better than last year, which is nice to see. And from a budget perspective also, the only thing that I think naturally we could expect and did see just a tiny bit was a slight downturn in the value of the investments, but that's just market driven and everybody's taking the same hit. So nothing to be concerned about, just something to keep an eye on, I guess. Other than that, I thought everything looked in order and looked really good.
Sam. The financials should be in your packet. Karen, did you have anything additional to comment on before we vote?
No, other than Sam, I really appreciate all of your work that you've done for us. And Sam, like, as soon as he was elected, he became treasurer. I mean, he volunteered to become treasurer without hesitation. And that is so appreciated. And I appreciate your guidance and your support. And hopefully we'll see you again, and we'll be able to work with you again. I will contact Carol and Madeline directly and talk to them, just chat and see if they have any questions about anything, and see if they're interested in maybe the position.
Thanks. And Karen, I just want to echo your thanks to Sam. Sam, you've been an incredible asset to the organization. Never underestimate your own powers. You always asked really good questions, and I think just provided a lot of thoughtful feedback and insight into the organization's financial security. So thank you for your time. So thank you. And then also, we're hoping to set up another finance committee meeting between now and the next board meeting. Anytime between tomorrow and I think May 26th was our goal. So we'd like to have Sam, Carol, Madeline, Karen, myself, and then our CPA invited as well. So it'll give y'all a chance to have an insight into the finances. We are looking to approve a Q3 budget amendment.
Okay. So do I have a motion to approve the February and March financials?
Laura, we also included the January financials. Do those need to be approved as well? They may have been approved at the March meeting. I'm not sure.
I think they were, but I'll look at the minutes.
Just
the
because
minutes
they
are
were
here.
included in the board folder, so I think I had them.
Couldn't remember if I had sent them previously, so I included all three.
I'll make the motion.
I second.
Oh.
Any questions before we vote? Okay, hearing none, all in favor of approval? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion is approved. Okay, did we have any update from the advocacy committee at all? I don't see our chair here today.
Dave is not here, but the advocacy committee did meet, and they are working on creating a list of priorities for position paper topics. That is a shared document among advocacy committee members. If any of you who aren't part of that would like to be, please email Dave Norwood. He is the chair. If you need Dave's email, ask me, I'll give it to you. But I am grateful for the advocacy committee's commitment to following through with creation of position papers. In addition, there is an advocacy page on our website now. It's serving as a clearinghouse. It's really a beginning point. Hopefully in the future, we will have position papers and statements on there as well. So that's the update.
All right, thank you, Marie. Okay, moving on to new business. We do have a communications policy to look at. Can you bring that up, Marie? So the intent of the communications policy is to make sure that the right level of the organization has reviewed things that go out generally to the general public. So it's very high level. However, we don't want to bog down our staff with lots of policies and procedures. They have desk procedures and guidelines. So this is really a board policy. Oh, here you go. Here's the purpose: to establish clarity in the role of the staff and board for communication channels regarding major changes to programs and publicly released statements or positions that could affect the public perception and reputation of Friends of the Rouge. So this wouldn't be our newsletter, and it wouldn't be communications to committees or to volunteers in general. It would be really focused on these kind of major announcements. So it covers 3 areas. Any publicly released statements must be reviewed and approved by the executive director. Any position paper, and this we were just talking about the advocacy committee. So any position paper or new/original advocacy letter must be reviewed and approved by the executive director and the advocacy committee. So that means that if we've already stated a position on, in a general position, we don't need to get approvals to reinforce that same position, right? This is for anything new. So as we build out this capability and this way of communicating with our community, we'll do it in a way that we ensure that the advocacy committee and the executive director have had a chance to review and approve those. And then any communication announcing a change in a long-established program must be reviewed and approved by the board of directors. Don't really see that necessarily happening, but you never know. So the procedure, while the communication policy provides high-level expectations, the Friends of the Rouge staff will also be provided more detailed guidelines subject to modification by staff leadership. So that was what I was talking about before. They'll have their own working guidelines for how they share information with the public that are not reaching the level of these 3 situations. Any questions about it? Okay,
Are we seeing the whole thing?
I think so, yeah.
Oh, okay, okay.
Yeah, I can see the whole thing anyways. 1, 2, and 3. Yeah, purpose, policy, and procedure. Okay, do I
I
have
do wonder if for number 3, oh, they can't hear me. I had a question, but I'm not sure if you can hear me.
I can hear you, yes.
Oh, okay. So for number 3, I know it's for staff, more detail. I'm wondering if we could say a little bit more there, like communications with regard to social media. I mean, will it have that kind of detail? Is that what you're looking at? Like what can be, I think there's a Twitter, so what can you put on Twitter? What do you put on Facebook? Communicating with the press, will those things be included?
I think the idea was that if there's something like major that's changing within the organization, that the board just needs to know about it before we tell the general public. It's not about how we deliver the message, or like it's like say we're completely dissolving our all of our biological monitoring programs are going away next week. They're gone. And we decide to before, and the reason this policy is in place is if we decided to completely dissolve all of our biological monitoring, like there would be a public outcry, right? Like we know that's going to happen. People would be upset. But so, and if it has to happen, it has to happen. Like it's just going to happen. But and for whatever reason, maybe it's because we've lost all of our funding or something, who knows. But the point is that the board needs to know before anybody else knows that it's going to happen. That's the point, I think, of this, is that the board needs to be aware of it. They need to understand the reason why. They want to be completely informed before we put that information out. I don't think that my interpretation isn't like creating nitpick details of it. This is how you craft a social media post. This is how we do this or whatever. It's really, because that's all programmatic, really. The messaging, the communications plan, the marketing, that should all be internal. But it's about making sure that the board is informed about big things like this before anyone else, so that when the public is like, oh my God, the benthics are done, what's happening? Then the board's not like, what? Wait, what's happening? Wait, the benthics are dissolved? Like, what happened? So I think that's in my understanding, that's the reason this communication policy is being put in place.
The title of it again, can you show it again?
Sure, yeah.
Yes. So maybe if the title was more descriptive. Communication policy with the board. Because I'm reading this as communication policy for the organization. And this is, to me, what in
Well, only one of the
that regard would
three-
be incomplete.
Only one of the three scenarios requires board approval. Right, so publicly released statements, that's at the discretion of the executive director. Advocacy is also needs to be reviewed by the advocacy committee. Right, so those other two situations as well.
But I also, I mean, I hear what you're saying, Irma, in that like a communications policy could be like the title itself could lead one to believe that that would be more overarching, sort of larger scale policies that could, you know, kind of not guide, but really mandate ways of communicating. So like maybe it's that we don't call it communication policy, we call it something else. I don't know. But so I understand your like hesitation. I just don't know how to remediate it. So any
Perhaps
ideas would be
it's,
great.
Public communication policy.
Informing the board, something, because that's what you said, was this is more about informing the board, keeping the board in advanced information, knowledge.
How about communication discretion? Because the idea is that we don't want things to get out to the public without them coming to the board.
Sure.
You know, maybe some things need to be talked about a little bit longer. I don't know. It just kind of discretion is kind of a word I came up with when you were talking about it.
What about internal communication policy?
So
Yeah, and I was going to say board communication
this
policy.
is specifically though, it's a specifically outward facing policy. It's not, the intent is not to inform the board. The intent is to get the proper approvals before informing the public. So it's really a public communications policy.
So there's different things being said here. I hear what you're saying, but I also heard what Marie said. And it's all fine. It's just, we need to title this appropriately in my mind. So internal communications with the board, or discretionary communications, or high level something, I don't know.
Well,
sorry.
As you're saying it, it almost makes me wonder if like there's a separate advocacy policy or something like that, board advocacy policy, and then a separate like policy about, so because like the first two are really around like advocacy and position statements, and then the second one is about like programmatic shifts. I'm not trying to make it more complicated, but you're kind of bringing up a point that they're a little bit, they're different from one another.
I think we cover it under the purpose, right? It's about releasing information to the public that could affect the reputation of the Friends of the Rouge.
How about information release policy?
Yeah. That sounds okay. Yeah. Yeah. Because that's referenced in both 1 and 2 for sure.
Laura, what do you think about that information release policy?
Fine, that's fine with me.
Does that feel better to you, Irma?
It does.
Okay.
Thank
Are there
you.
any other comments from other board members, thoughts?
Okay, do I have?
I'm
a
good
motion?
with this. And I do agree with the title change.
Okay, do we have a motion to approve the information release policy?
My
I'm-
first vote, yes.
Second.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments before we vote? Okay, all in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, hearing none, motion is approved. Any walk-ins for new business?
And just so folks know, this is like a small modification in the board agenda, and that it gives folks who are maybe like, and I'm just calling you out, Annette, but Annette, who is not a board member of the public or an interested party or stakeholder, where if they have something they want to share, it gives them space to do so. So.
Okay, I don't think Annette's here any longer. All right, so that's the end of the formal agenda. Just some reminders. If you want to poke up the agenda up again real quickly. As we talked about, as Laura mentioned earlier, we have our big fundraiser coming up on August 11th. So just a reminder to put that on your calendar so that you can participate with us. As well, we did a little survey to see when people were available and chose September 21st, a Wednesday evening for a couple hours to spend on a board retreat in Farmington Hills at the Heritage Nature Center. And then a reminder to contact Aaron, or not Aaron, who should they contact? Cara for volunteering for tabling events. Maria.
That would be Sam Davis. So sdavis@therouge.org.
Great. And also, if you haven't had a chance to talk to Laura yet, she's our development director. We encourage you to give her a call or send her an email, and she would love to have some time to chat with you and learn more about your interests and how we can all support the organization. Okay. So do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
All right, a second.
Second.
Thank you, everybody. It's nice meeting the new people, and hopefully we'll see you in person soon.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye,
Bye.
everybody. Thank you.
Bye. Thanks. Bye.
Good night, everybody.
Bye, Sue.